Okay, class. Today we will do 2.4. 2.4 is called linear function. Okay? Okay, I will make a video for 2.4. Okay, bear with me. So the basic concept of linear function is the linear function is the easy one is when you is a function is a linear a function is a linear function if and only if you can write it down as fx is equal to 8x plus b. Okay, and just make sure sometimes also they can write it down as a y is equal to ax plus b. I'm quite sure most of you used to the second form, but you have to make sure also 8 is non-zero. Okay, and then the domain and the range also is all real numbers is here. Okay, the domain and the range is the all real numbers is this one. The domain is r, or you can write down as like this is same, or and the range is just all real numbers is negative infinity and infinity. Okay, just make sure if they ask you linear function is just like this. Okay, you can write down like this and make sure you don't know something. Maybe you know y is equal to fx always. Okay, y is equal to fx. You can write down as what of fx, or you can write down like this. Either way it will work. This one also is y. Okay, don't be confused if they give you y is equal to ax plus b. Don't be, because y is equal to fx. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next one, example one, if they ask you to give the domain and the range, first things you have to graph this one. If you have to graph y fx is equal to negative 2x plus 6, first of all, find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. X-intercept, what does it mean? F-intercept is when y is equal to 0. But here in our case, remember the y is fx. Y is equal to fx. X-intercept is when you have y is equal to 0, mean fx is equal to 0. Fx is equal to 0. So in our case here, then negative 2x plus 6 is equal to 0. And then 2x is equal to 6. Why? Because the negative 6 is equal to negative 6. And negative 2x is equal to negative 6. If you divide both sides by negative 1, you have 2x is equal to 6. So then x, if you divide both sides by 2, you have x is equal to 3. Got it? So then we can conclude here. X-intercept is when y is equal to 0. Y is fx. Then the x-intercept is x equal to 3. Go back and check 3. 3 is right here. We have 1 point. Again, the linear function, to graph the linear function, you only need 2 points. So therefore, we have 1 point, and the first point is the x-intercept point. X-intercept point is 3 and 0. This is our first point, is right here. Okay, the second one, let me use the green one. The second one, you have, let's find the y-intercept. Let's find the y-intercept. Okay, if you have to find the y-intercept here, remember the y-intercept is when you have is when x is equal to 0. That's it. And remember the y-intercept is just the fx, because y is equal to fx. Okay, so here you have x equal to 0. So you have then f0 is equal to negative 2 times 0 plus 6. So then f0 is equal to 6. Now x equal look at here, x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 6. So then our point will be 0 and 6. This is our second point. And this is called the y-intercept. The y-intercept is when x equals 0. So then the second point will be 6 on the y-axis, 6 here. So we have our second point here. And now we can graph. And we can graph the straight line passing by those 2 points. Okay. Let's move it here. Let me erase it because I want pass by 6 and 3. Okay, just like this. Good. So now we have our point. And just make sure you put the arrow both sides. What does it mean? Mean it go to infinity. It go forever. Okay, it won't stop. It will go forever. That's what the arrow meant. Okay, the arrow meant it will go forever. It won't stop. Okay. Now, hopefully you understand those. Okay. Now they ask you to find the domain and the range. Domain and range. Let me erase here. Okay. Find the domain. The domain, remember I told you last time, our previous chapter 2.3, the domain is on the x-axis. What make f exist on the x-axis? Check the graph. The graph go forever. Then the domain is negative infinity and infinity. Or you can write down just r, okay? But just use negative infinity for now, okay? Okay, the range also you can tell. On the y-axis, check the graph. The graph go forever. Then the range also is negative infinity and infinity. That's the range. Good. Let me know if you have any question. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next example, you have this. And they ask you to find the domain and the range. So you have fx is equal to 3. Fx is equal to negative 3. And you can tell you have constant function. And remember, always remember y is equal to, because here is y-axis, here is y-axis, okay? The y is right here. You see the y? It's a little bit, but it's right here. It's a little tiny, okay? And you have the x-axis here. The y-axis is this side, that's y. That's the y we get here. And the y-axis here, this side is fx. Remember that one, okay? And fx is equal to y. And this side is x. That's all you have to remember. Here is x, and here is y. And the y is fx. And the fx is negative 3. So mean y is equal to negative 3. And then x mean y is equal to negative 3. And x is equal to 0. Then we will have 1.0 and negative 3. And a negative 3 here, y is equal to negative 3. And we have x is equal to 0. And you can tell here negative 3 is right here. We have 1 point, oh, no. Negative 3 is the bottom one. And we have negative 3 here, okay? So now they ask you to graph. If you have to graph this one, it will be parallel to the x-axis. It's a horizontal line, okay? Okay, we have the graph here, and just make sure you put the arrow. The arrow meant it will go forever, it won't stop. So this one is called the horizontal line, okay? Horizontal line, okay? Okay. And this one is just fx is equal to negative 3. Okay, now they ask you to find the domain and the range. Let me erase here. ask you to find the domain. The domain for this one is what? And remember, the domain, check the x-axis. Check this axis. And check the function. Any number you put here, you can find the domain, okay? And the domain here is what? And you can tell easily, since the function go for forever, so then the domain has to be infinity, okay? Is R, is negative infinity and infinity. Now the range here, the range always check the y-axis. The range here, check the x-axis is only on -3. No, on the y-axis, it's only on -3. That is a set of -3. That's it, okay? Now the domain is all real numbers. It's a negative infinity and infinity. If you have any question, let me know on our lecture soon. The range here, okay, the x-axis, the domain, look at the x-axis. The range, look at the y-axis. And the y-axis, you only have the y-axis crossing on -3, then the range is the set of -3. That's it, okay? Good. Now you have one case here, and you have x is equal to -3, and now they ask you to find the domain and the range. And remember here, that line is called the horizontal line, and here is x is equal to -3, and you have -3 is right here, okay? Now you have to graph this one, and -3 is just a straight line just like this. And make sure you put the arrow, okay? Okay, and this one is called the vertical line, okay? Vertical line. Okay. This one is called the vertical line. So here now they ask you to find the domain and the range. If you check the domain here and the range, the domain always check the x-axis, and the range check the y-axis. So the domain, if you check the x-axis here, you will see you have only one point here, which is a -3, and then the domain is the set of all -3, and the range here. If you check the range, remember the range, you have to check the y-axis. If you check the range, you have a function going to wherever, it won't stop, okay? Then the range is a negative infinity to infinity. Okay, that's it. Okay. Now let's check the next one you have. Okay, if they ask you to graph this one, give the domain and the range. You have to be very careful those kind of function. So you can graph it in different way if you want it. But the easy way is this. You just always choose 2 points. Okay, let's check. You have 4x minus 5y is equal to 0. Okay, let's graph this one. You have x here and you have y here. If x equals 0, you have y is equal to 0, of course. Okay. Now, what about if x is equal to 1? Or maybe is equal to 5? If x is equal to 5, what I should get on y? Let's check. X is equal to 5. Then I will have 4 times 5 minus 5y is equal to 0. Then 5y is equal to 20, because 4 times 5 is 20. Then y is equal to 20 divided by 5, which is 4. Then y is equal to 4. Write down 4 here. Okay. By the way, you just need 2 points. Now you have 2 points here, which is 0, 0, and 5, 4. Okay. Let's grab those 2 points. So here you have this 1 point here. And you have 4 and 5. 4 is right here, 5 is right here. Okay. Let's grab this one. You have this, that line. Okay. Okay, you have that line, and you have the 2 points. That's it. Okay, now let's find the domain and the range. Remember the domain here and the range here. The domain is the x-axis. Check the x-axis and check the function. The function, it will go for forever. Same thing for the range. So you can tell the domain is negative infinity, and the range is negative infinity and infinity. That's it. Always try to graph first before you conclude. Try to graph first. If you don't graph, you will have a problem, of course. Okay? Okay. Okay, I know. Okay, we are dealing now with something called slope. Okay? Remember, the slope is raise over run. Okay? Raise over run. Remember, if you check the graph XY plane, if you check XY plane, so the raise is the y-axis. That's the raise, okay? The run, you can tell, is x-axis. And you take the difference between the 2 points. That's what I meant here. Take the difference between the raise, 2 points, and take the difference between the 2 points on the run. That's it. That's it. This is called the slope. Now, that is the slope. The slope of the line is the change of y. Let me write down y here. If the change in y is a change in y, okay? Divided by a corresponding change in x, where the change in x is not 0, of course. And just make sure because of this one, look at here. Let me explain to you what this one meant. Because of this one, dx have to be non-zero, and you know dx is x2 minus x2 minus x1 is different to 0, always. Just make sure the denominator is non-zero, okay? Now, the next one, when using the slope formula, let me check here. This one, I know, difference between the x change in the numerator. Okay, this one, let me just, you already know this one. I already write it down. You don't have to. Okay. I mean, this one does make sense a lot, because since I wrote this one, I don't think so if you have to. But just let's go over. Okay. When using the slope formula, it makes no difference which point is x1, y1, or x2, y2. However, be consistent, start with the x, okay? Okay, start with the x. Yeah, this one, it doesn't make sense, because that's fine. You already know this one, okay? And just make sure you know is start with x and y value, x value and y value. Okay, the numerator is y value in numerator, and the y value, sorry, because it's the numerator on the top here. Okay, you have y value. Okay, just write it down. y value, and x value. That's all. And now let's do one example here. Okay. Here they ask you to find the slope of the formula, find the slope of the line that given the point. So if you have that point, if you have this one, and they ask you to find the slope. So remember the slope. If you have x1, y1, and you have x2 and y2. Let me stop here. If you have x1 and y1, and you have also another point which is x2 and y2. Now, and they ask you to find the slope for this one. Remember, is the rise of run, and the rise on xy plane. The rise is the vertical line, which is y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. Now let me point out something here. Be careful. If you write down y1 minus y2 divided by x2 minus x1 is false, I will give you 0. This one is wrong. Why is wrong? You have to respect the order. If you start with y1 minus y2, then the next one have to be here, x1 minus x2. If you start with y2 minus y1, then the next one can't not be x1. No, it has to be x2 minus x1. Okay, just be sure this one it will line up. Okay, be careful. Okay, let's move on here. So the slope for this one is 8 minus parenthesis -3. Be careful here. 8, this one and this one first, and divided by, since I start with this one, then it divided by -4 minus 2. Okay? And then you end up having 8 plus 3, because negative times negative is positive, and divided by -6. And then you will have a -11/6. That's the slope for this one. Okay? The next one, you do the same thing. You can, the slope, do the same thing. You can even start with this one. It's fine. It's -4 if you want, minus 7 divided by, if you want, 2 minus 2. Okay, if you want, unless if you want. Either way will work. It doesn't matter. It just make sure to follow the order. If you miss one order, it's done. Okay? Careful. You can also do, that one is good, or you can also write down like this if you want. If you want. You don't have to, but if you want. -7 minus parenthesis -4 divided by 2 minus 2. Either way will work, okay? It doesn't matter which one you have to start with. So you have this one. And this one you can tell is -11 divided by 0. And this one is called undefined, because you have divided by 0, undefined. Okay? Undefined. Okay? If you have anything divided by 0, you have to write down undefined. Be careful. If you don't write down undefined, it's false, mean it does exist. And then you can conclude the line through, through 2 and 7 is 2 and 7 here, and 2 -4 is vertical. If it is undefined, then that's the way you have to conclude, okay? That's the mean show your work. If you just stop on undefined without write down like this, it's false. I will give you 0. So you have to write down is vertical, okay? Okay, let's do the next one. The next one, you have the slope for this one. The slope, you have -3 parentheses, no, -3 minus, let me write down slope here, is -3 minus parentheses -3 divided by 5 minus parentheses -2. So here you can tell here you have -3 plus 3 divided by 7. So this one is 0. Why is 0? 0 over 7 is just 0. So if you have a 0, so then you can say the same thing here, but it's just horizontal, okay? You can say the line through, same thing here, write down that sentence, okay? Through, the line through, what's the point? You have 5 and -3, and -2 and -3 is horizontal. Okay, you can tell easily it's horizontal, of course. Okay. Okay. Good. Let's move on. Now, find the slope of this one. If you have this one, if you have a linear equation, this one, by the way, is called linear equation, and you have something called the standard form, and you have to be very careful. Write down in standard form first. That's the standard form, by the way, but you have to break it down. So if you have, remember, if you have 8y is equal to 8x plus b, the 8 here is called the slope. That's all you have to remember, okay? Y is equal to 8x plus b. That 8 is called the slope, okay? If x equals 0, you have the y-intercept. The y-intercept, this one, the b is called the y-intercept. Why? Because if x equals 0 here, okay? That's all you have to remember. So then we have to break it down. You have to change it here. Rewrite. Let's rewrite the equation. If you have to rewrite the equation, you have 4x plus 3y is equal to 12. Then 3y is equal to 12. You can move this one outside. You have a -4x plus 12. Okay? And then you can divide both sides by 3. So if you divide both sides by 3, you can tell easily. You can divide both sides by 3. You have y is equal to -4 over 3x plus 12 divided by 3. And 12 divided by 3 is just 4. So you have y is equal to -4 divided by 3x plus 4. Now you're done. But remember, I told you right now, if you have y is equal to 8x plus b, then that 8 is a slope. Since they ask you to find the slope here, then that's the way you have to write down. Okay? Now I reach here, then I can conclude directly here. The slope here is just this one. Okay? Then the slope is -4 over 3. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay? Good. Okay, let's move on. Graph the line at the point, and you have here, okay, here you have the slope. Here is a given slope, and here is a given point. You have so many ways to graph it. You have so many ways, okay? let me teach you the easy way to graph it. It's up to you. It's up to you. People, because the slope is negative, let me show you something. If you have that line, okay? If the equation is that way, the slope is positive. If equation is like this, the linear equation is like this, the slope is negative, okay? And you can tell if you pick 2 points here, that point is less and that point is bigger. And the bigger point, if you check the graph, the bigger point is less on y-axis. Therefore, it has to be negative. But if you pick that point, the x-axis is bigger, the y-axis is bigger, therefore, the slope is positive. That's the way math is beautiful. Yeah. Okay? Let me show you something here. Okay. Rewrite the equation. You have y, we will have, since the slope is given, if you have to rewrite the equation, the linear equation is right as like this. Linear function or linear equation, it doesn't matter. Equation or function is fine. A linear function is right as y is equal to 8x plus b. Okay. And remember, I told you right now, if you have that form, okay, the 8 is called the slope, okay? Therefore, since the slope here is given, 8 is negative 5 over 3, okay? Okay. You have y is equal to negative 5 over 3x plus b. Okay. I didn't follow the book, but I just want to show you the easy path to reach. Okay, to reach the answer, easy one. Okay, you can follow the book if you want, it's fine. But here you have this, and you have a given point. That point is given, which is negative 1 and 5. Okay. Okay. You have a given point, which is negative 1 and 5. What does it mean, the given point? The given point means if. Look at here. This means if x is equal to negative 1, then y is equal to 5. That's the meaning. That's the meaning, that point, okay? So now you can just replace it on the equation. You have 5 is equal to negative 5 over 3, and you have x is equal to negative 1. And you have plus b. Why I do that? Because I want found the b. If I found the b, it's over. I can graph easily now. Okay? Let's find the b. So here I can tell I will have b plus, here is positive, 5 over 3 is equal to 5. Okay. Then if I subtract both sides by 5 over 3, I will have b is equal to 5 minus 5 over 3. And then 15 minus 5 divided by 3, which is just 10 over 3. So therefore, y, let me change the color. Y is equal to negative 5 over 3 x plus 10 over 3. That's it. That's the equation I want to find. Follow me here. Let me raise here. Okay. Now I have y is equal to negative 5 over 3x plus 10 over 3. I just have to choose 2 points and I'm done. If x is equal to 0, I will have x is equal to 0. The y-intercept then will be 10 over 3. If x is equal to 3, I don't know. If x is equal to 1, let's choose x equal to 1. So if x is equal to 1, you have y is equal to negative 5, 3 plus 10 over 3. So you have 5 over 3. 5 over 3. Okay, now put the point back here. Okay, let's graph this one. If x is equal to 0, y is 10 over 3. 10 over 3, 3 times 3, 9 is 3 something. 3 something is here. You have 1 point here so far. Okay, I have 1 point here. This is the first point. That point is right here, okay? Okay, the second one, if x is equal to 1, y is 5 over 3. Let's graph that point. X is equal to 1 here. X is equal to 1. Y is 5 over 3. 5 over 3 is just 2 point something. 2 point something. 2 point something here. Okay, I got that point. So now I can graph the equation easily now. I will have this. Okay? Now, what's the question? The question was graph the line. Okay, that's it. That's it. Okay? That's it. That's the way you have to do it. Okay? Just make sure you understand the concept. Good. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, let's complete here. Okay, here. A line with positive slope raised from left to right. Okay? A line with a positive slope raised from left to right. Of course, from left to right. Remember, the positive slope I told you here, like this, from left to right. Of course, that's the way you have to figure out, okay? The way they was raised left to right. Okay. That's how you can define it. The second one, the line is a negative slope. The line is a negative slope. Fall from left to right. Okay? Falls from left to right. Falls from left to right. Good. Okay? Now, a line with negative slope. A line with negative slope a line with 0. Okay, with 0. Yeah, should be slope 0. Neither raise, none raise. Okay, slope 0. A line with slope 0. A line with slope 0. Neither raise, none falls. Good. Okay, it's just a constant one. A slope of the line vertical is undefined. A slope of a line, of a vertical. A slope with a vertical line is undefined. Okay, read the definition, go over, and understand. Please understand the concept, and you should be good. Okay? Good. Okay, a slope gives average rate of change in y per unit of change in x. Good. Where the value of y depend in the value of x. Of course, remember I told you y is fx. That's what I meant. Okay? Good. Okay, let's do the example 8. The example 8 is just same thing. If they ask you to, if you read the question and they ask you to graph, you just have to choose 2 points and just graph it. If you choose if you choose this point, 2009, all right? If you choose 2009, you have a 1 point which is 2009. Okay, and you have another point on the x-axis, okay? And you have another point on the y-axis corresponding a span, a Google span, it was 2,800. You have 1 point. And now you have from 2000, look at here, from 2013 and this one, okay? This one and this one, and 2013 and 8,000, okay? Let's do it. So you have 2013 and 8,000. Okay, choose those 2 points and try to use 2,000 here and 4,000 and so on, okay? Keep going. And here also try to use 2009 and so on and keep going until you reach 2013, okay? So your slope then will be just like this, okay? But here you have to stop because it's just 2 points. You have to stop here, okay? Okay. Now the average rate of change is 8,000 minus 2,800 divided by 2013 minus 2009. That's it. And just find the number. Okay? It's here. Okay, let's move to the next. Linear model. Linear model is still on the chapter. Okay, I already did it. Okay, this one is just okay. A linear, the definition, okay, a linear cost function has a form of C. I know you saw it. I know you took that course before. That course is just those who want to do the finance. It's finance math. Okay, the linear cost function has the form Cx. Cx is mx plus b. Okay, let me repeat. A linear cost function has the form Cx is equal to mx plus b. Okay? And where you have the x is a corresponding number of items producing, and m is m represent the cost. Okay? M represent the cost. The fixed cost. M represent the fixed cost. M represent the fixed cost. Okay. M represent the fixed cost. Okay, I think yeah. It's just the cost, because fixed cost is another things. Okay. M represent the cost. Okay. Cost per items is fine. Cost per items. And B now represent just what I say now is the fixed cost. Good. Okay, the linear cost function is like this. Okay, it wrote us like this. Now, The M represent the cost, and the B represent the fixed cost. Okay? Next, the revenue. The revenue for the sale of products depends on the price per item, P, and the number of items sold, S. It is given by the function, and that function is represented as a Rx. Rx is the revenue, is this one, is the revenue function. Okay, it's Rx. Rx is equal to Px. Okay, is Px. Okay. A profile function is Px. Px is Rx minus Cx. And remember, Px, the profile function is Px. Now, how can you find the Px? Px is equal to the revenue function, which is this one, minus the linear cost function, which is Cx. Okay? Good. Okay, number 9, the course. The course here is easy. Just use the formula. You will have Cx is equal to mx plus b. And then here, if you read the question, you have the 100. The 100 is the m. Okay, that's the m. Okay? And you have also the b. The b is, of course, is the fixed cost. Okay? It's a fixed cost. This one is a cost, by the way. And this one is a fixed cost, and the fixed cost is the b. So now Cx is equal to 100. Cx is equal to 100x plus 1,500. Okay, that's it. The next one, the B, the revenue. The revenue, remember, write down the formula first, is Rx is equal to Px. Now remember the P is the profile, okay? The P is a profile. And if you read the question, is 125. Rx is equal to 125x. That's it. Okay? Okay. Next. No, I'm talking about this one. Okay? The R. This one is a revenue. Now the next is a profile. The profile, write down the formula first. And the formula is just Px. Px is Rx minus the Cx. Okay. And just replace it, since you know it's 125x minus parenthesis 100x and minus 1,500. Okay? Just replace it and just keep going. Now you have another question, which is how many items must be sold for the company to make a profit? Okay. You know, we have the profile here was Px, and Px is 100, 200. Let me see here. What do you have? So if you, okay, you have 125x minus, I think was 100? Yeah, 1,000. No, 100. 100x minus 1,050, 1,500. Okay. You have this one, so then this one is just 25x minus 1,500. Okay, that's all I want. So now we have this one. Now Px is greater than 0 is what make the profile exist. Okay, have to be greater than 0. So then yes, it what make the profile to be productive. So then we can solve it now. We have 25x minus 500, 1,500 is greater than 0. So then we can have a 25x is greater than 1,500. And then we can have x is greater than 1,500 divided by 25, and then which is 60. Then x has to be greater than 65 to make the number of items be sold. Okay, that's it. And you have to write down in sentence. Good. And then maybe today, soon you will get in class at 12:30. I will start doing this one. Okay, the equation of the line. Okay, that's it.